Greetings, adventurers! Welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Industrial Complex. Oh, today's a special day, my friend. Today we're going to be talking conspiracies. Da, da, da. Now, today we're going to talk about a conspiracy that's not just big, not just massive, it's Titanic. In other words, we're going to be talking about the top 3 conspiracies related to the Titanic. Number 3, the Titanic was actually sunk by a U-boat. Well, that is interesting. You will see this one quite a bit bandied about on the internet, and it makes for interesting reading. It really does. But the simple fact of the matter is there is nothing whatsoever to support it. It is pure fiction. Number 1, there's no need for it. Why would you do it? Okay? England and Germany were at the time maybe not in the best of terms, but they were not at war and they were not in conflict. So why would anybody bother going out and committing an act of mass murder, which would really be an act of war, just to commit an act of mass murder? It makes no sense. Whether or not there were any U-boats in that area at that time is unknown, and 100% of the evidence comes purely from speculation and things like psychic powers. Bit much there, people, bit much. But it does make for salacious reading. Number 2, and much more interesting, and this one's actually got a little bit of legs. This is the idea that the Titanic was not the Titanic. In other words, the ship that sank on that cold April night was not the Titanic, but the Olympic. This was the Titanic's sister ship. Now, the idea for this comes largely from a book by Robin Gardner called Titanic, the Ship That Never Sank. Now, in this, he puts forth the idea that at the last minute, the Titanic was switched out for its sister ship, the Olympic. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. First and foremost, well, it all comes down to one reason, which is money. Now, the large argument comes from the insurance settlement. Now, in 1911, the Olympic, which was at the time captained by Captain Smith, who was also the captain of the Titanic, was involved in a little fender bender. In other words, they collided with the HMS Hawk, Royal Navy ship. Now, hang on. Now, Smith was not at the helm. It was actually a harbor pilot. And it was declared to be the fault of the Olympic. And so Lloyd's of London, who insured the ship, wouldn't pay out. That means the White Star Line that owned the Olympic and the Titanic had to shell out of pocket. Oh boy. That's not going to be cheap. Ever had to take your car to the shop? You know how expensive that is. That's a 2,000 pound piece of metal. This is a 20,000 ton ship. Kind of a different story. Add to that, when the Olympic was in for repairs, due to the collision, the Titanic was still under construction now, and it was behind schedule. Now, here's the thing. In the transportation business, time is money, okay? So if you're not ready to launch, when you're supposed to launch, man, that's going to cost you a lot of money, dude. Those ships need to be in revenue service, making money. Otherwise, you are losing money fast. So the idea is that, look, White Star said, okay, we can't have 2 ships out of revenue service. We got to get at least 1 in revenue service. We got to hit this deadline of the Titanic launching. Okay? Now, like I said, the Olympic and the Titanic are sister ships. In other words, they're identical, minus a few cosmetic differences, which are easily glossed over. They are identical. No one's going to know if you take the Olympic, which can be repaired faster, put back faster into operation, into revenue service, slap a label on it, says Titanic, ain't nobody gonna know. Okay? Now on the surface, that theory's got legs, because frankly, you know what, if you're the White Star Line, you just gotta have something out there running and making money. Okay? What you call it doesn't matter. Alright, where things start to get a little bit crazy, later on in the book, Gardner talks about how, here's the problem. Yeah, nobody had to die. Nobody was supposed to die. Now, a lot of the critics of this theory, they say, well, okay, interesting thought, but in order for this to pay off, 1,500 people have got to die, right? Wrong. Okay? The idea was not that everybody dies and Smith commits suicide. The idea is that you slowly open the valves on the ship, letting in water. Okay? And you more or less scuttle the ship. Now, you open them slowly enough to get everybody off the ship. It doesn't matter that there were not enough lifeboats. Okay? It doesn't matter. You can make multiple trips. All you need is a rescue ship standing by somewhere to make repeated runs to, shuttle the passengers off the ship. It's not hard. The problem comes when you're the captain of the Titanic and you run into the rescue ship. And that's what Gardner alleges happened. And that's kind of the problem. Gardner's idea is that, yeah, Smith ran into not a or an iceberg, but the rescue ship. And that's what caused all the damage. That's what caused everybody to die and the ship to sink. That's a problem. When you run into your rescue ship and sink it, that's a problem. Okay. So, now I will tell you, that story is a bit much, and it's a little far-fetched, but boy, it's got a lot more legs than the U-boat idea. And if you look around on the internet, there's a lot of talk about it. There's a lot more evidence than people are saying for that theory. I still am not convinced of it, but like I said, there is a lot more evidence for it than people want to state. Number 3. The most far-fetched of any of them, the idea that the Titanic's fate was somehow written in the stars or was part of a glitch in the Matrix or something to that effect. Now here's the idea. This all comes down to the idea that in 1898, seafaring author Morgan Robertson wrote a book called Futility or the Wreck of the Titan. In it, he talks about a ship that had just been launched, and it was 800 feet long, and it launched from Europe and went to America. It was supposedly unsinkable, sank on its maiden voyage in the North Atlantic in April. Hey, does that sound familiar? Well, it ought to. That's exactly what happened to the Titanic. Now, the ship in the book, of course, was called the Titan. Okay, there is obviously a lot of similarities. Now keep in mind, this book was written 14 years before the actual wreck of the Titanic. Now, here's the thing. Now, a lot of people will point to this and say, oh, this is evidence of Robertson's precognition or clairvoyance. And a lot of people will try to tell you that this is evidence for some sort of glitch in the Matrix. So, in other words, when our lords and masters controlling the computer simulation that really is our universe, we're sort of either asleep at the wheel that day, or perhaps, this is just an idea or an example of them sort of having a little in-joke at our expense. Or 1,500, of their programs dying, i.e. us. Now, that theory is a bit much to take, and it's sort of, you have to buy into the idea of the universe being a computer simulation for you to even buy into that idea, which in and of itself, frankly, is a bit much. But, nevertheless, there it is. Personally, I'm going to chalk it up to a very interesting coincidence. There's a lot of similarities between the fact and fiction, and the fiction came 14 years earlier. Enough to make you think, but I don't know. Enough to prove the existence of clairvoyance, or enough to, make you believe in the Matrix theory that this is computer-generated hologram. I don't know, folks. Good luck with that one. Anyway, folks, this is Dallas Deluxe signing off. I hope you enjoyed our Titanic Conspiracies. Have a great day. I'm going to run off here into the distance, away from any bodies of water or large vessels, and into the dark heart of the paranormal industrial complex. Good night.